And good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the December 19th edition of Makers and Movers podcast. December 19th. Anybody else say where the hell did this month go? Woo! We're in the mix of it right now. We're finishing stuff up today. It is the first day of Christmas break. So the week of craziness of school plays and Christmas Olympics and family function of that done. Now I guess we should start Christmas shopping because I'm not the only one that hasn't started yet, right? Am I? Just let me know in the comments. Have you started? I'm sure some of you have been done for months. Not me. Well, I'll do it this weekend. All right. Now, it's your first time here or long time here, and you know who you are, where you're from, what's in your cup, what the weather is like in the area. It's cold. We got some wind advisory last night, like 60, 70 mile an hour winds. It's going to drop in the single digits, and today's going to be a mess. But I think this weekend it's supposed to be decent, so we'll do that. We got peach vibe Celsius this morning, and your 5 things. What are 5 things that you are going to accomplish today? We've got deliveries that need to be made today. We've got supplies that need to be picked up. We've got orders that need to be shipped out. We've got art that needs approved, and one store to set up. So that's our stuff for today. And then today, was topic of choice is, what this season has really taught us about our business, right? I know as we look at this, the season's ended for a lot of people, and a lot of us are tired in a very specific way, not just physically, but really, mentally and emotionally. You're relieved that the pace is slowing down, but you're also sitting with this really uncomfortable feeling that you don't know quite what to do yet. There's pride in what you've survived, frustration about what really did not go as planned, and then that pressure, that little quiet pressure in the background saying, "What's next? Now what? Slow sales for the next couple of weeks. What do we do? What do we have to plan for next year?" So, that's why reflection gets skipped. Planning does feel that it feels productive, and reflection, can feel slow and vague. Even though reflection is where the real insights lies, or lives. Excuse me. We just ran under stress, demand, deadlines, real world constraints, and the experience that we've gained from that, it generated information that, we really can't recreate on purpose. So we're going to talk about today how, slowing down long enough to understand what all of that information actually says. Now, let's check in and see how people are doing this morning for you. Gabriella, good morning. Hello, cold, clear day there. Making design t-shirts and rhinestones. Hot tea in the cup. Very, very nice. And Keith, hey, from the sunny Space Coast in Florida. Coffee in the cup. Very nice. Pasha, good morning. Cooler here today. 50 is the high. Wrapping presents is my only task for today. Coffee in the cup. I got to get presents. I will unwrap presents. If you're in our mentorship community, we do have the gift exchange. I was smart, and anything that had my name on it for Amazon, I told Corey, I'm like, hey, you open it because I don't know what's in it, and it could be something for me that's not wrapped, and it wasn't. So, boom, I'm not sure what's in there, but we'll find out in an hour. We'll find out over there. Barb, good morning. North Central Minnesota, -13. Snow later today. Water in the cup. 5 things. Customer pickup, graphic design, cut HTV, clean cutting craft room, Cricut replace, rubber rollers. Very nice. Barb's got a day in front of her. Oh, looky, Jeff. Jeff was live this morning. Probably still is live, but I had him on the background because that's my whole schedule is off for the next 2 weeks because there's no schedule to take the kids to school. So I was like, oh, I can just have something on the background, and then I got sucked in because Jeff's laser and stuff, and UV printing and 3D printing. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks. Morning, all 26 there in windy and northern Kentucky. Diet Coke in the cup. 5 things today. Pack vinyl orders out the mail done. Laser ornaments done. Laser tumblers done. 3D print more stickers. Jeff's got a busy day there too. Ooh, Santa came early. I sold my mother's house. That is That's a good present. That is a good present. Riley, hi to you. I clean. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to do. Deep clean, organize my area just so we can mess it all up, right? What's up, Chuck? Good morning to you. Have you played with the 3D printer? I did, Chuck. Looky. Look at that. I was impressed. I'll never do this as multicolor again. The waste is ridiculous for something like that when it could just be there and I can come back and paint it. But for the first attempt at it, I'm pretty happy with it. Hudson has been finding lots of things to make. In fact, I think he has a snowball maker that's in there right now. But the ornaments, he's been having fun with that. I got to go get hardware to make for the roll wrapping paper cutter. But there's some other things that he's printed out so Corey can bling out to show our stones. So yeah, we're playing right along with it. I did not hear about Porsche disabling all the cars in Russia. That's wild. Nope, I turned it off for this. Oh, why? Thanks, Jeff. Hi, Jeff and Chuck from Barb. Morning, Jerry. Morning, Barb from Jeff. I'm getting a 3D printer. It took me a while to get one. What is it? I did. It did do but there was 143 color changes that it was, and we did have a fidget in it. So, we'll get more in it. I guess I just need to get a multi-head one, right? This is what we're doing. No, we're gonna be fine with this. I just got to get more filament. That's the thing. It's like you go down that rabbit hole of what filaments for this and what do you get for that, and then it's like, you find the buy 10 rolls get 30 rolls free or whatever on TikTok. Is a good filament? I don't know. We'll go through that process to get there for it. We got the Bamboo Lab P2S. The P2S is what we ended up with. Let's see. Oh, this, I don't know. What do we have here? Okay. So, what do you say we get into this? We've got a lot going on. We're not going to turn this into goal setting. We'll talk goals, kind of next week. How to, what we're setting those, what we're doing with that, how we can make stuff, how we can kind of look at 2026 and what we need to do to set up, because our 2025 did not end how we planned it. There is just there's just way more things that happen, like buying TRW. So we'll do our best to plan for it, but sometimes it's just you just got to go with it. So we'll put a plan in place. We'll see what we can do with it, and let me pull up my notes. So you go. We're not trying to fix anything today. We're really just trying to interpret, what this season revealed, about how your business behaves when things got busy, because that understanding, that's what we use to make future decisions, and those future decisions will become easier, excuse me, and less reactive for it. So number one, let's look for patterns and not highlights. When people look back on a season, what do you remember? You remember the extremes, the big sale, the worst customer, the day everything went wrong, or you remember, that moment where everything just finally clicked. Those moments stick with us because they're emotional, but they're also, very misleading if you trust them as lessons. Extreme moments don't really represent how your business normally functions. They just represent, the outliers for it. Now, what actually teaches you something useful are the things that happen over and over and over again. The same type of customer question, the same delay point production, the same emotional response you had certain times of day or the week. Patterns really show you how your business behaves under, the normal pressure, not the exceptional circumstances. And that's the behavior that you can trust with it. Now, most makers, miss this because they're too close to the work while it's happening. Everything feels urgent in that moment. Now, reflection, allows you to kind of take a step back and realize that certain problems really were not random at all. They were predictable. And predictable problems, what those are? Those are solvable problems, even if you don't know how to solve them yet. So some examples of this is a maker noticed that every time she accepted last minute customer requests, the rest of the week felt chaotic and behind. It didn't matter how confident that they were, when they felt, or how confident they felt when starting the job, they just felt that it was chaos and they were behind. Another one realized that two core products consistently carried their revenue, even when they tried to push seasonal trendy items. So they leaned into it, right? So action step for this is let's just jot down one thing that happened repeatedly this season and describe, what it tells you about your workflow, your customers, and your boundaries. All right. Now, number two, you know, pay attention to what has drained you the most. You know, revenue doesn't tell the full story of a season. Energy does. Some tasks can be profitable and still cost you more than they're worth because of that mental load they carry. Anybody pull a job just like that and think about it? When something is constantly draining you, frustrating you, or stayed on your mind hours and hours, that's a signal that's a signal your business is giving you. This is the kind of drain that often comes from unclear systems. When policies aren't fully defined, when expectations aren't communicated clearly, or when an offer just requires way too much explanation. The burden really does land on you to constantly manage it, and over time, that mental weight it really does become heavier than the workload itself. So the goal here it isn't to label things as bad. We're not doing that, but it's to recognize which part of the business asked more from you, internally. That awareness is what leads to the smarter decisions, and not necessarily bigger ones, just smarter ones. So some examples of this is a decorator realized that she spent more time explaining one policy than producing actual orders, and that explanation that explanation fatigue really did add up quickly. And another one noticed that one specific product required far more customer support, revisions, and follow up than everything else she offered put together. She decided she's not doing that again. So, action step for this is let's just identify one part of your business that consumed a disproportional mental disproportionate mental energy, and then write it down what made it so demanding on you. All right. Number 3, notice what you avoided, even when you had the time, right? Avoidance is one of the most honest forms of feedback your business gives you. Right? When you constantly avoid certain tasks or offers or conversations, it's rarely because you're lazy. More often, it's because something feels misaligned, unclear, or unsustainable. Even if you can't figure out why yet. And busy seasons just really does amplify this. When time is limited, when you instinctively gravitate towards what feels worthwhile and push away what feels heavy, you know that behavior is revealing. It shows you which part of your business you trust and which part you really don't. Reflection allows you to look at the avoidance without judgment. Instead of asking, why don't I do that? You ask, what am I protecting myself from? Now, that question often leads to far more honest answers. So, some examples of this, excuse me, is a maker kept delaying social media pushes and realized that she preferred direct sales and referrals over content creation. Another one avoided expanding into new product categories and later recognized that stability mattered more to her than growth. So for action step on this is let's just write down one thing you avoided this season and explore what that avoidance might be telling you about your business. I know we need to hire more people because if we want to grow on the transfer side, we need help doing that. That's what I learned. And people are pissed, but we're not putting out inferior products yet because we don't want to. All right. All right. Before we get into 4 and 5, let's check it back in and see what we got here. So we got P2S. Yep. If I start buying one after Christmas, ooh. All right. If you decide to not continue your subscription for whatever reason and you drop back down to 5, or do you still have 26 without the updates? So you'd go back, if you have to have 5 in order to drop down. If you buy new of 2026, there is no standalone with it. But if you currently have 5, you can step back down to that. Jeff, I'm telling you, it is a wild, wild hole because I'm like, first I've got, the different kinds. PLA plus, PS2, what AB? What? Well, okay. Which one is this? I just need that simple infograph. If you make this, use this. If you make this, use this. If you make this, use this. And then we got the colors, and then we got the styles, and yeah, like apparently we got to order some silks because Hudson thought those were pretty cool. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's what we're doing. And then we got to make some adapters to make some of those like 250-gram rolls be able to fit in AMS. So yeah, we'll get there. I have 2 Ender 3 V2s, but I have to learn to use them. I ended up in a doctor's office hospital almost. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully things are going better. And hi, Jerry. And thanks, Jerry. And hello, Jeff. Do you have any idea of which brand you're going to get for filament or for equipment? For equipment, we just went with Bamboo, the P2S. That's what we're going. Filament, no clue. We ordered some stuff and Hudson's trying it out and it's becoming his thing of what he wants. And I said, learn about it, see what you can do, see what you can find out for us. So he's going to do that, and then we're going to use that. The main reason to buy that was so we can create objects to be able to stone to showcase our rhinestones. That was the purpose of that, and to be able to do things like this, just show off. Ooh, before I drop it off, like, hey, I like that. I'll dig it. And so to be able to try do things and bling some more stuff out for it. All right, now number 4. Let's evaluate how pressure really changed your decisions. Pressure, I don't know about you, but for me, pressure removes my ability to perform as perfect as I can be. Yeah. That's why it reveals the truth. When things got busy this season, decision making habits showed up fast. I may have noticed your tendencies to overcommit or to rush or to people please or try to fix everything immediately. What matters is not whether these habits appeared, but whether they shifted compared to past seasons. Growth often shows up as pauses, hesitations, or restraint where there used to be panic. Even a few moments of intentional decision making under stress, it indicates maturity with you. And these are really important because businesses, they are not built during calm periods alone. They are built during pressure, when decisions have consequences, and when energy is limited. How you handled pressure this season, that is one of the clearest indicators of how far you've come. So some examples of this is a maker noticed that she stopped responding immediately to stressful messages and waited until she could answer clearly. I've done that this year. I've seen stuff come through and I could not react emotionally to it. I just sit and wait and then answer to it. Another one chose to delay non-urgent tasks instead of forcing, productivity late at night. They respected their own boundaries of time. I'm not doing this. So for this, let's just write down one decision that that you handled differently under pressure than you would have a year ago. Pretty simple, right? All right. And number 5, let lessons exist without turning them into plans. There is a really strong temptation to turn every realization that you've had into some sort of resolution. You notice something that didn't work and immediately feel pressure to fix it before the next season. While planning has its place, forcing lessons into action too quickly, that can often create more stress than clarity. You know, some of these lessons are meant to sit with you. When you allow them to exist without obligation, they slowly start to shape how you think, how you prioritize and how you respond without, requiring formal rules or systems. And that's just how experience becomes intuition rather than exhaustion. This approach really does protect you from making reactive changes based on short-term emotion. Reflection without pressure that allows insight to mature before you even start turning it into some sort of strategy. So, some examples. A maker realized that fewer, higher quality orders felt better without needing to restructure her entire business immediately. Another recognized that firm cutoffs that improved her stress level and carried that awareness forward without formalizing it yet. Right? Like those firm cutoffs, man. So, action step for this is let's just write down one sentence starting with "This season taught me that." Let's stop there. What did it teach you for it? And so, we've got we're coming up here. We're at the end of the year, right? We've got today's the 19th. We've got 12, 13, what do we have? 12 days left? 12 days left of the year. Is that right? I think so. I think that's right. We've got 12 days left of the year. 19 plus 31. Yeah, 12 days left in the year. So, this season likely taught you way more than you realize. Patterns showed you how your business actually runs. How energy drains, energy. Geez, I can't even speak this morning. That energy drain, revealed your weak point. Your energy drain revealed your weak points, right? Avoidance that offered honest feedback, and pressure that exposed the maturity. And from all this season, lessons emerged without demanding action for it. You do not need to rush into fixing anything now, but you do need to understand that what this season has taught you is enough. Then the rest of it's going to come when you're ready. So that's what we got for you today. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And shows, we will do shows next week. We'll do it on Monday. We'll do a Christmas Eve show. We'll do the day after Christmas show. We'll follow that up that same week. So might not be the same style of format. I think we're going to have some planning, setting goals for 26, how to set, some smart goals, what to do with it. You guys tell me the topics you want to talk about, and we will definitely do that. Yeah, you can 100%. We can, because we can glue that. That's what like these are, because you're just printing an object and then you're coming back and you're stoning that object. So yeah, you absolutely can do something like that. Let's see. I got my wizard yesterday and I have to finish up a commission due for Christmas before I can start playing. Woohoo! Good job. See your reward. Oh, what I missed, Jeff? What did you say? What did you say you used? I would say try out what I use. Worth a shot. Where's your code, Jeff? The DMAX. I think I did see that one, right? The DMAX. Where's it from? Is it from the Zon or is it coming from overseas or where you got it? Where you got it at, Jeff? 500 rolls of it, and now they have a TPU, and so far so good. Very nice. Yes, I believe you can rhinestone on 3D, but probably depending on the shapes and angles. So yeah, and that's where it comes into a lot of smaller things. I'm looking over there to see if Corey has anything handy. Usually, once they're done, they go out. And I've only kept a few things like cups and that, but you can change your like this. You've got your different sizes of stones that you use for your fills. And that's it. Just really depends on what you're putting in. I mean, you can go, big guys right there. Little, just depends on what you're doing. So yeah, change stone size. You can do a lot with it. Well, Lexi says meditation helps a lot. Feel calm going in your day. It carries through. I've learned to let people have their frantic energy, but I don't need to take that on. 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Let's see. Makers need to write their own set of business rules. Absolutely. And your falafels, whenever your falafels. I am having a hard time speaking today. Whatever in doubt, refer to them and stick to them. You need to police yourself with your own policies. Absolutely. Um, I know you can, Rhinestone. I made the sleeve sword. Yeah. And Christy, sorry, this season taught me to set firm boundaries for payment and delivery. 100%. When we look at that, I just had that conversation with somebody Wednesday afternoon because they said something about that they can't take on these jobs because they don't have the funds to bring it in. I said, well, why ain't you getting paid up front or at least half of it? I would say 90% of our jobs are all pay up front. From those with it, we've ran into a few that do half up front and half at delivery, and we have just a couple that are on terms. Other than that, take everything up front because I'm not a bank. Put on a credit card. You can do what you need to do. I've gained so much clarity and actually stood by my policies this season. I feel so much better by doing this. Yes, definitely less stress. Absolutely. You're very welcome, Jerry. Look at that. Both of your statements are very true. Lexi, meditation and boundary rules. Yes, yes, yes. That's from Maker's World. That's where that came from. Maker's World truck. And then took our logo, SVG, brought it in, did the thing where it goes on there and did that, and then had to play with it to kind of make it look where I wanted it to. And yeah, it wasn't too bad. Now that I know how to do that, I learn something new every day with it. All right. With that, we've got, like I said, we've got a lot going on. If you're in the mentorship community, we'll see you in a half an hour. We have our gift exchange, so that'll be fun to see what everybody's got there for it. And last weekend before Christmas, we haven't started Christmas shopping. Probably should. I'm even looking at stuff where Amazon can't get it to me in time. So we'll see what we can do with that. All right. We'll be back this Monday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So until next time, peace, love, press on. We will see you guys then.